which represents the alpha furanose of the sugar depicted on the left. So here's the sugar depicted on the left. And let's just talk about some of the aspects of sugars you need to be aware of. First off, the carbonyl carbon, when the sugar becomes cyclic, is here in the green box, and that's called an anomeric carbon. When the relationship between the last carbon, the one that's furthest from the carbonyl, and this O over here is trans, that's called the alpha anomer. And when it's cis, that's called the beta anomer. Now, frequently people just say, well, can't I just tell if it's up or down? Kinda, but if the sugar is moved around, then you may need to move the sugar around or remember the relationship that I just told you. In addition, if we draw a sugar and look at the Fisher projection here, so that the carbonyl is as close to the top as possible. For aldoses, it will be at the top. For ketoses, it will be on the second carbon. And we look at the chiral carbon lowest on the page. If the OH is on the right, that's a D sugar, and all sugars which are D are the naturally occurring variety. L are not. In addition, when the sugar takes on a cyclic form, the last carbon will point up in the Hallworth diagram here if the sugar is D. So you can tell a sugar is D here because the last carbon is pointing up, and you can tell the sugar is D in the Fisher because the lowest chiral carbon has the OH on the right. Now, in order to determine where these two oxygens are going to be, these two hydroxyls are going to be, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use the rule down right. Once you make a cut from the carbonyl, once you make a cut from the oxygen that cycles around and creates the ring, whatever's left will be on the right, that's on the right will be down. So these two OHs will be down like this. So if, for example, we looked at an answer key where one OH was up and the other was down, that would not correspond to this Fisher projection, and it would be wrong. Okay? So that's the kind of information you need to think about for sugars. In this case, number 4 is the correct answer, and here is why. When we look at this, we see that this OH here on the chiral carbon lowest on the page is going to be on the right-hand side. This is pointing up. That makes this correct. Next, we see that the OH here is trans to the last carbon. This could be an OH or an OR. It doesn't matter. If it's trans, then this will be alpha. And finally, these two carbons right over here, and there'll be 3 carbons in larger rings. If these are both going to be down like this, they'll have to be on the right-hand side. Okay, finally, a furanose is a sugar which has 5-membered ring, 1 oxygen, and 4 carbon. A pyranose is a 6-membered ring, 1 oxygen and 5 carbon. And it has the ending ose, it will have an OH here. And if it has an OR here, then it will be called an oside, as in furanoside or pyranoside, depending on the ring size. Well, if you didn't get all that, don't worry. We're going to be covering that in future vids.